Hey guys, today's episode of Hit by a Truck is going to be super short. I'm, as you can see, not working off any notes today. I want to talk a little bit about my transition. I want to get out of sort of part one, the shit show, and move on to my journey into finding my faith, which leads into my purpose. So once again, Judy Haddad, owner of Orange Purple Passions, My Healing LLC, founder and executive director of Five Purple Oranges, which is my charity founded after the death of Alon. And this is Hit by a Truck, my journey through trauma and into faith and purpose after being hit by a semi-truck and losing my son. So I ended up last week with talk about, for the most part, wrapping up on the civil case. Talking about my journey into finding my work and finding my place is so wrapped up in the criminal case. And sadly, there are things about the criminal case I can't share just at this moment. So this is going to be sort of not a placeholder, but I want to talk about my journey on a different level. So I've been really obsessed with Ariana Grande's Thank You Next. I don't know if she's so not my type of artist. Like, I don't really like her music that much, and I'm trying to think if Alon was around when she had her TV show. I don't know. So she's not my, she's not who I would gravitate towards, but I love that song. She seems like a real genuine person, and I do appreciate what she must have, having the bombing at her concert and then losing a former flame to overdose. It's hard to handle at that age. So, I always talk about we all have our traumas. We don't know what the story is. So we can always look in and say, oh, she's got all the money in the world. Who cares? No, she's a human being. She has to deal with things the same way. We all do. So what I love about that song is that she finds she's finding herself through these relationships. She comes and finds herself, but also she's grateful for all these stops. She's on the way. You can find these little gifts and everything. So I made so many wrong turns in my mind now. I can say to you, oh God, why did I do that? Why did I do that? But I can look back and find the gift and the message in each one. So I'm going to just seriously, very briefly talk about so after the civil case and my summer job ended, I'll just say this now, we didn't know what was going on with the criminal case, and that consumed so much of me. It was so much energy, and I just know that, I'm not a stupid woman. Like, I understand homicides take time, and you see some of these, and again, with Alon, like, it seems more straightforward, because it wasn't like searching for the killer, but you understand these things take time and take their time getting to court. And once they're in court, there's all types of delays. That's totally understandable. But it was so hard knowing the civil case was more or less wrapped up. I still had my fight with Marco. And the criminal wasn't wrapped up yet. So, I sort of fell into a job. So what happened was, during my time of recovery, I didn't have my work. I was still doing physical therapy, and a friend of mine, my friend Tamara, who her daughter and Alon went to the same school. They were never in the same class, but occasionally they had like things together. They knew each other, for sure knew each other. Sweet little girl. So she's 2 years younger, maybe she was 2 or 3 grades maybe 3 grades younger, but like probably only like 2 years younger, because Alon did, he had a September birthday, so he was like the youngest in his class usually. So anyway, Tamara did a really good job of like just sort of taking care of me. Like, she would drive me to physical therapy. We'd go have Thai food. It was a lot of fun. And then when I sort of just didn't know where my life was going, I would start attending her class. Like, I knew she had a blog, but we never, like I said, we never were in the same class. Like, we didn't have a lot of things together. I would actually see her occasionally at school, and I'd see her husband occasionally at school, and I knew who they were, but, you know, we had a lot of mutual friends. But I just noticed the cobweb I need to dust. So my house is a mess right now. Anyway, squirrel. So I started going to her house to do these classes with Young Living essential oils, and part of it was just, I think, for something to do. But honestly, what attracted me was that both she and another friend had given me essential oils when I had just come home from the hospital. And I understood how it all worked, the chemistry of them, but it wasn't where I was. I understood all the sense and how it's tied to the limbic system. Again, not where I was. I guess I didn't want, I don't know what the thing was. I had always used essential oils, like truly had used them, but in my, it had been mostly in cleaning products and in facial care, like skincare. I wasn't one to do candles and diffusers anyway. I wasn't one for like aromas, so to speak. And I understood like how smelling something could bring up a memory, or could, like truly, the true chemicals of an essential oil can get into your bloodstream, you know, if it's not a synthetic thing and you're getting the real oil, and can affect change in your body, and it could be emotional change. But when I started with her with the essential oils, I really was looking for physical changes. So she had given me something and I wasn't really using it, and she had suggested, Tamara has a blog, and a healthy lifestyle blog, so more than just essential oils, and my friends were all on it, and I was just never a blog girl. There was something about, like, as a librarian, you would think blogs would be my thing, but there was something about blogs that I don't know. I just never got into, I would use stuff from blogs, but I would never subscribe to any. So I had seen her blog, but she was really good about, she and a couple other friends were really good about, you need bone broth, it's so good for your bones. And I understood this. I understood the science. It just wasn't a step I was going to take. Part of me regrets that now. I just don't drink hot liquids. I'm not into soup. She was so nice and brought me some bone broth, and I would mix it into like leftover Thai food and eat it that way. So I understood the need to heal, but I think my brain was so all encompassed with the criminal case that I found my solace more in my hikes and yoga. And again, like, hiking was a nice thing. It took me a while to really build up to walking at all, but it took me a while to build up the hikes, you know, the pain and the stamina. But for me, the way my breaks were, it was easier for me to walk than it was to sit. So I found it healing in an emotional way as well, connecting with nature, being out in nature. It was, where are you? What are you doing? It was pretty awesome to sort of heal that way for me. That worked for me. It doesn't probably work for everybody, but nature is very healing, as we all know. We've all seen the studies, how being out in the trees is great for your stress levels, so I'll leave it at there. The pain, once I had gotten off the Norco and had started getting my body back, I was still having pain just by virtue of where my injuries were and how things worked in my body. I had pain on days where I was like in bed just bawling, like just begging for like, you know, like, oh, I wish pot was legal, because I wasn't about to go through what you need to go through to get medical. Because I wanted, you know, and I remember saying to a cop friend of mine, like, if I'm gonna be in pain, I'm gonna be stuck in bed with pain. I might as well enjoy it. I don't know if pot works for me. I think I've tried pot for pain. It doesn't necessarily work for me, and this is why I think it should be legal federally, because then you could have real doctors put in real studies to find out exactly what strains work for what kind of issues. We don't have that. It needs to be government studied. It's stupid that pot is illegal. It all goes back to, I believe, something that happened in the 30s. Look it up. Anyway, it's just not for me. It's not something I ever really got into, but that was my train of thought. Like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? So I went to Tamara's oils classes, and she would talk about, her husband is a former NFL player, and the things he would use for his pain. But you know, everybody's body is different, and everybody's pain is different, and everybody's injuries are different, or what have you. So I was trying a couple of things that he was using, and I'm like, you know, if this can help me, if I can use some essential oils and, like, you know, maybe Tylenol or whatever it was I was allowed to take at that time, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this gets me over these humps. And it literally, and I was taking oils and capsules, and it took me a long time to find out what worked for me, a really long time. But everybody's body is different. Everybody's body chemistry is different. And I'm very grateful for that. So I'm very grateful for finding the oils. So I started buying the oils. Mom and I were sharing them. And I understood you could do it as a business. And I remember, like, I had a friend say, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. Like, then, like, Tamara makes money off you. I'm like, oh, I don't care. She's been so good to me, whatever. Not really grasping all of that, how that's done. Somewhere during the time of my my journey in that summer job with the camp, I believe I discovered emotional healing through the oils. And I had never been diffusing. I had been doing the opposite. Most people's journey, they start diffusing, then maybe, I'm gonna kick you, then maybe they apply topically, then maybe they ingest. Some countries, they don't even let you ingest. I was the opposite. I started with ingestion, then I was applying topically, then I started diffusing, and I started diffusing these blends. There was this one blend that Young Living makes called Trauma Life, where I was like, whoa, like it just opened these floodgates, and I was like, whoa, I really needed that. So my job ended in like August, and I didn't have anything to do, and I didn't know what my path was supposed to be. And you know what, I was like, well, maybe I should give a shot with these oils. So that began a very interesting journey, but that began my journey into network marketing, which led me completely in a different path, but I'm so grateful for all of that. So I sometimes regrets, you know, I can look back and regret some of these decisions I've made, and I will share those with you. But for the most part, I'm really grateful, because I had this, you know, these things that were working for me in many ways. I had a way to, I believed, help friends, and I had this way to make a little cash doing it while things were going on. And that was really sort of where I started. My mindset in jumping into that was, you know, this gives me a little bit of freedom and a little bit of time to figure things out. I'm gonna just really push hard with this for a little bit, but I also know that, you know, right now a criminal case takes up all my time. So I'm gonna stop there because I have a lot of notes I want to share with you on that part of the journey, which really does lead to my faith journey. So I appreciate you watching as always. Thank you.